All right, this is Jeff Durkin here of We Are Change Connecticut. We're here with one of the authors of the book Shadows of Power by James Perloff, author of about the Council on Foreign Relations, and he just gave a fascinating presentation about it, which will be uploaded to my other channel. So we're going to talk to him about his book, how he got woken up to it, and what we could do about it as Americans and you watching out there. So James, thanks for coming out tonight.
Well, thank you for interviewing me.
So tell us how you woke up to what really got you started for writing this book and for the other books you've published.
Well, for this particular topic we're talking about tonight, which is the the push for world government, especially through the Council on Foreign Relations. There's a true story. I actually once saw a girl reading a book in 1978. She was reading a book by Gary Allen called None Dare Call a Conspiracy, and something told me I have to read that book. Now, I'm not a person this happens to. I'm not a person who gets visions or dreams or voice. I don't hear voices, something like that. But something told me I needed to read that book, and so I went and looked for it and found it, and found that that book explained American history to me in ways that I'd never understood it before. And all of a sudden, I saw American history open up. I saw the pattern to it, and it made sense for the first time. And as I started to read related books, I looked in his footnotes and saw what sources he used. I started to read more books. I'm a writer myself, and so I became motivated to write a book of my own because I felt there were certain gaps in his book, certain areas of history that weren't covered, and submitted the manuscript to the John Birch Society, which had been distributing his book, and they liked it, and we worked on it together, and it took a while, but we got it out. A lot of pictures in it. I like books with pictures, So finally you find a picture that really can support what you're saying. It brings home the reality to people. But that's how I got the idea. A long answer to a short question.
Kind of just the idea for people out there watching this now, like as a starting point, what would you recommend for them?
Well, I would recommend, this is not to make a profit. I only make a 5% royalty on the book. But I would recommend read The Shadows of Power as a starting point. But if you start to Google terms like Council on Foreign Relations, Illuminati, globalism, world government, you'll start to come up with websites, and I'm not saying I can't predict whether a website you come up with is going to be reliable or not, but you're going to come up with a lot of information. Right now, the internet is for free. And I'll let you in on something. I honestly believe that the internet is out there. I know it's convenient. It's a great place to shop. Great place to get information, but I do believe that it is also a surveillance network used by governments to track citizens with the intention of eventually shutting down freedom of information on the internet. But right now, it's a great way to collect data. I mean, if you ever read George Orwell's book, 1984, the government knew his greatest fear was rats. They took him to the infamous Room 101, and they were able to get him to break down by... Well, could the government find out your greatest fear is? Well, if they're reading your email, they could probably, figure that out. So if they've got a database of everybody through the internet, that's pretty dangerous and pretty scary. But right now, my point is that right now it is free. They made it very attractive. So use it to find out. You can actually find the truth about a lot of things on the internet. I'm not saying everything that's reliable. People lie. Internet sites can lie. But I strongly recommend that people use some of those search terms I mentioned to try to find out what's going on in our history.
Yeah, because especially with other activists out there I've talked to, with different activists, whether in radio or television or anything else like that, it really shows just the power of the internet in the media, and what we can do as citizens. We could turn their own technology against them by doing techniques like this video or your presentation or anybody else out there to show that we could take back the country, whether by looking at the information and turning it against them in their own...
Right, that's exactly right. You guys have worked, I think, on the 911 Truth Movement. That's a great place for people to start looking too. So people start to see how many unanswered questions there are about 911. Let's see, I was going to say something else about something. I forget what you're saying before that. Now I'm losing my place mentally, but that's probably because I'm a little bit older than you are.
No, that's fine, but it continues to show that just going off of 9/11 Truth, because we're part of an organization, We Are Change Connecticut, and all that with different chapters and stuff like that, but I want to hear your opinion. Since we're talking about 9/11, would you approve of a new investigation into 9/11 based on the official story?
Absolutely. Well, if you watch the video that you're uploading and the talk I gave tonight, we talk about the sinking of the Maine, the sinking of the Lusitania, Washington's foreknowledge of Pearl Harbor, how North Korea was artificially created through maneuverings of our own government, the Tonkin Gulf incident, which never took place, and the fact that no weapons of mass destruction in Iran, you start to realize that there's this pattern, Iraq, there's this pattern of deception leading us into wars, which are profitable to other people and also create massive demographic and political changes. You know, I've probably been talking too long tonight, so I'm starting to lose my place again. You know, I just gave a 2-hour presentation, so I wasn't expected to give this one as well. Yes, 911 fits into that pattern, is what I meant to say. 911 is part of that pattern of creating a false flag to get you into a war.
Well, thanks, James. I appreciate the little discussion there and your great presentation and all that. So it just goes to show you that any of you out there listening can have the knowledge and power to do something and get off the couch or get off watching television or watching the news and start becoming an activist of yourself and becoming what you want to be in this world. So, James, we thank you, appreciate it. And this signing off, We Are Change Connecticut.